Ye elders of Israel, come join now with me, and seek out the righteous where'er they may be.
Welcome everybody to the third hour of power. My name is Grady of This Mormon Life, and I am joined again this week with Braxton. Braxton, thanks so much for joining me.
Hello, everyone.
So, a little bit of honesty here. Our lesson 14 episode got out a little bit late, so you may have already had that lesson and chose not to go back and listen to it. I would encourage it because it was awesome, but if you don't, that's okay. And so for those of you who are here that missed last week listening to it, Braxton, tell us a little bit about yourself and your website.
I'm married with two little boys who keep me busy. Been married a little over 5 years now. As far as my website goes, it's a little play on Latin. I studied Latin in high school. And so it's nucendi.com, which is nucendi.com. And I try to focus on teaching others kind of about entrepreneurial topics, if I can say it. And primarily, I'm starting to realize there's not enough education with those type of topics geared towards children. So that's kind of my focus on the blog, is to empower parents and their kids with those sort of topics.
Awesome. And Braxton and I work together at Infusionsoft. And Braxton is a workhorse. He gets there before the sun's up, and he goes down when he goes home when he goes down, because we're out in Arizona and it's so hot right now.
I try to do what I can.
All right. Well, this week we are in lesson 15, and it's on eternal marriage. In this episode, whenever you have a quorum or a Relief Society class, you're going to have all levels of understanding in that class. And so it's really important that you know your audience. You might have someone who is new to the church, and the only thing they know about eternal marriage is that they had missionaries teach it to them 2 weeks ago before they got baptized. And then sometimes you might have, you might be a high priest, and in the high priest, everyone's pretty well versed in kind of the principle of eternal marriage and what that means as far as being able to be sealed for eternity. In the first section here, it's entitled "The Celestial Marriage is the Crowning Ordinance of the Gospel of Jesus Christ." And I think it's important to realize that even though it's the crowning ordinance, it's not the be-all, end-all of our existence. And I'll go into that in a second, kind of more about that idea. But I think about our young women, and a lot of the times in young women, you hear the idea that they are pumped with the idea of getting married in the temple, which is a worthy goal. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And so they're continually told to get married in the temple. For young men, we're often told, I know our big dialogue was going on a mission. Then we get to the singles ward, then it's now get married. And so we don't get a lot of the celestial marriage as a young man, but as a singles ward participant, you get a lot of the marriage talk. But then you get married, and there is the idea that you have fulfilled the measure of your creation. You've gotten married, you're at the pinnacle of the ordinances you can do, and now it's like, now what? Now you endure for another 60 years. And I always thought that was a kind of a weird idea. And so kind of most of our thoughts today are going to be on sections 5 and 6. And that's more about enjoying your celestial marriage here on earth. I always think of a celestial marriage as not a marriage that endures forever, as much as it is a marriage that feels like heaven on earth. And so in section 5, it talks about, talking to children and youth about celestial marriage. Like I said, I think it's important that our youth understand the importance and the sacredness of celestial marriage. Yeah, it breaks my heart every time we have youth that don't see that as an important thing. And I'll just say this quote here. It says that life is short and eternity is long, he says. He goes on, the proper advice to our youth is to consider carefully, with the view of choosing well, a companion with an abiding faith in the gospel. Such a person is more likely to prove true in every vow and covenant when the young man and the young woman are thoroughly grounded in the divine mission of our Lord and believe the gospel as revealed through Joseph Smith the prophet. The chances are all in favor of a happy union that will endure forever. And I think, when I see marriages and I see where successful marriages lie, I would say statistically you have a better chance of having a happy marriage if you choose someone who you are equally yoked with, or you have a similarity in faith. Now, that doesn't mean getting married in the temple seals the deal and you guys are guaranteed to be together forever. Because unfortunately, with agency, there's still people that make wrong choices. We're going to talk a little bit how to protect your marriage against that. But the idea is that, a lot of marriages, there's a lot of unhappiness when it comes to a mixed faith family. And not only that, but in a mixed faith family, you now find yourself not in a situation where you are set up and prepared to receive an eternal marriage. And so I think if you think about life is short and eternity is long, an eternal marriage is it should be the most important choice or a priority when it comes to choosing that spouse.
Absolutely. One of the things that stuck out to me in Section 5, I talked a little bit how I have an interest in educating kids, but not like in a school teacher kind of way. But it talks about kids in our youth. And one thing that stuck out to me, it's the third paragraph. And he says, I plead with you, the youth of Zion everywhere, to keep yourselves clean and pure so that you will be entitled to go to the house of the Lord, and together with the companions of your choice, enjoy all these great blessings the Lord offers to you. And that reminded me of something I learned when I was preparing for my mission. One thing, maybe not so much with us young men, but especially young women, is modesty is a big deal when we're teenagers and stuff. And something I learned once I was endowed was, you need to learn modesty because if you're and understand the importance of it, because if you get endowed and you receive your garments, not all your clothes you can't wear your clothes anymore if that's not going to be the case. You know what I mean? And
yeah, I had to trade in all my chubby shorts and really deep V-necks.
Right. Exactly. But it was so profound to me to walk out of the temple and realize that oh my gosh, if you're going to be able to wear your garments, then modesty is going to be important. And so, of course, it's an important thing to show our kids that, and that prepares you, especially for your marriage in the long run. That's just one more thing to kind of build that foundation in your marriage also.
Yeah, I agree. And that's the thing with our kids, too, is that, even though my baby girl is not even one yet, me and my wife have modesty discussions, and it's not that babies are sexy or anything creepy like that, but it's just the idea of preparing for a life where that will be a reality. And just the idea, too, is that wanting to be different and set apart from the world. In Section 6, it talks about having a happy marriage in this life. And it leads off, it says that marriage is ordained of God. It is a righteous principle when in holiness it is received and practiced. If men and women today would enter into this covenant in the spirit of humility, love, and faith, as they are commanded to do, walking righteously in the ways of eternal life, there would be no divorce, no broken homes, but a happiness, a joy beyond expression. When I think about, those celestial marriages or those temple marriages that do break apart, it always seems like a big root or a big cause of that is one of the parties, or maybe even both, have stopped keeping the commandments of God and have led them down roads that lead to unhappiness. And I've just been amazed, just in the past 5 years, how many men that I know and respect that have not kept marital vows, and have walked down this road. And I think it's so important that we protect our marriage, and so that we do have a celestial marriage or a marriage that's like heaven, and we do the things that preserve that. The things like praying together, the things like reading our scriptures together, and as a family. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about, and I'm trying to get better about, is date night. With your wife, making sure that even though being a mother and a father is one of your important jobs as a husband and wife, I would say that husband and wife is probably your most important, because when we get to the celestial kingdom, we'll be organized in husbands and wives, and it's important that you preserve that relationship. I live in Gilbert now, in Arizona, and I was down at the Santan Village outdoor mall, and it's awesome. And I walked by this little club, and they have tonight open mic night at 7 o'clock, and I just thought to myself, and I had plugged the name, but I totally forgot what it was. I'm sorry, open mic night club in Santan Village, because it was free admission. I thought, this is awesome. And it even had a little requirement, all entertainment must be family friendly. The thought just sparked into my head, I want to bring my wife here. I want to do this tonight for date night. And it's those kinds of ideas that our spouse should be someone that we think about and that we care about and that we want to serve and want to love. And we've all got room for improvement. Me particularly, My wife, if she ever listens to this podcast, which she usually doesn't, if she did, she would say, I don't think that's what you're doing, because I do make mistakes and I'm not perfect. When I think about the man that I want to be, it's the man who takes care of his wife and loves her and cherishes her and thinks about her when there's things that are enjoyable, things that I might find entertaining or fun. They are so much more fun when we get to do it together.
I appreciate, you said a couple of things that I really appreciated. One, before I forget it, what you just said about finding things that are fun to do together, and something I learned after getting married. My wife and I, we have very few interests in common. Dating resorted to hanging out with friends and stuff like that, and I wouldn't say we went about our courtship, in a way that we didn't learn more about each other. But getting married, you kind of start to discover, I like to read books, and she loves her movies and stuff, and we're opposites in that way. And there's a whole bunch of other things, but it's really been fun. We've been married a little over 5 years now, and just to kind of explore things with ourselves and find new interests together and things like that. And then something that you mentioned that I really appreciate you said actually was you actually said the words marital vows, which is something, at least I'm guilty of this. I think vows that's not a word that's so common in LDS culture. At least in my opinion, we hear the word covenant more. But I think, and my wife and I had a discussion about this recently where, they are vows and they do mean something. And I mean, of course the covenant means something, but they are vows. You did make a promise, and to say in layman's terms, whether in thick or thin, it's you're promising to be together. And sometimes we tend to forget those things when things are in the thick, and that's not the thing that we think about. First of all, that we need to cling to each other and remember why we got married in the first place. It's
been an interesting thing, through some of our life transitions right now. It's been amazing. I take it after my dad sometimes, where I keep things in a lot. I don't share all the time, and I always see myself as kind of the protector of the family. I protect my wife from things that might cause her discomfort. I haven't told her I found 3 scorpions in our house since we lived here because I don't want her to worry. I take that burden on myself. I am neurotic and I freak out at night when I'm downstairs by myself, but I don't want her to, so I hide it from her. I don't tell her those things. But there are times when I need to realize is that she is my companion and I need to be able to lean on her. When I need strength, when I need help, I need to be able to let her know and let her in to how I'm feeling and being able to have her be a strength for me. Because she's my companion and she's the person I need to rely on. And when we get to the eternities, I don't quite understand everything that we'll be doing together, but I think it's going to be essential that we do it together and that we are companions and teammates through that process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Braxton, anything else you want to add to the discussion today?
I think I would just comment on that. I would say within the last year personally, I think it's become more clear to me really what the marriage covenant means, or even what the vow means. We still fairly haven't been married that long, you know what I mean? And we're still learning to live with each other sometimes, and things are definitely, they're not terrible by any means, but every marriage is going to have their little spats and things like that. And I think I'm reminded even more so within the last year just of really what that covenant and what that vow means. And it's interesting when you start thinking about your marriage that way, it just gives you hope, I guess, and it gives you perspective and optimism.
No, I agree. You're 5 years. I think we just had 12 years I celebrated. Yeah, I think 12 years. And I'm still figuring this whole thing out. And so I figured we've got plenty of time. Take it slow. Don't be in a rush. Don't be in a hurry. Don't worry about it. Don't stress. There's joy in the journey, to quote Elder Uchtdorf's wife, I guess. There's joy in the journey. And I think that's going to wrap it up this week. If you've got any ideas about this lesson, or you have any ideas about eternal marriage, I love to hear them. Go ahead and find us on Facebook at This Mormon Life, or Twitter, or Instagram. I don't Pinterest because I'm a guy, but I think I do have a Pinterest page established, so maybe you will find me there, but I probably won't read it. And find out more about marriage. I'm going to give a plug to my friend John O'Decker. He's a friend of mine. We do another page together called Mormons at the Megaplex, where we talk about movies and from LDS perspective. But he is a marriage counselor, and so if you find your temple marriage not quite a celestial marriage, I would say search him out. It's J. Decker Therapy, and he does great work. He's in the southern Utah, but he also does online classes as well. And so I just wanted to plug him, just because I feel so strongly that it's important that we preserve our marriages, especially in our faith, but even outside our faith. If you just stumbled upon this YouTube, clip and wondered what it was, what Mormons think about maternal marriage, we think it's important for everybody. So seek him out. You'll find great joy. I think that's just about it. So I'm going to wrap this up. So on behalf of Braxton, I am Grady of This Mormon Life. That's www.this-mormon-life. If you want to know why I always the W's, go to my Facebook, and I'll tell you about it. And so visit there at This Mormon Life. I'm all over the place. Also, our benefactors, This Week in Mormons. They are fantastic. Funny guys, Jeff and Al. They talk about Mormon news things, casserole recipes, and it's a good time. The blog talks about their website talks about some really deep issues that are taken as from a light and approachable angle. Also, Sunday School Bonanza. So if you find us on iTunes or you listen to us on YouTube or on Stitcher, take a moment right now, get out your phone or get on your keyboard, just leave us some comments or a review. It really helps people know about what we do and share the love a little bit. We really appreciate it when you guys do that. And it also gives us so much more encouragement and it makes me want to make sure I'm getting this content on time. We were a little bit late last week, but it helped when I had someone else say, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. Make sure you guys keep it up. And I was like, I better get this done because people like it. And I appreciate it. So thank you so much, Braxton. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll see you guys next month.
Bye, everyone.